was in Newfoundland. Not a lot of people know where Newfoundland is, but it's eastern part of Canada. Where
Okay.
sunrise is a country. People who are hiring, like you should give people a chance. It's turned for the worse for the people of color. Have learned to ask myself, so what? And I've realized that when you ask yourself, this didn't happen. Okay, so what?
You know what they say, desperate times call for.
Pivoting from psychology to marketing and now leading a team.
If you've ever questioned your path, this one's for you.
This is Desperate Times. Welcome back to another episode of Desperate Times. I'm Sakshi,
And I'm Varun.
and today's episode is featuring a special guest whose journey has taken her across continents and career paths. She started out in psychology, moved into marketing, led a team in her mid 20s, and navigated chaos from moving back and forth into different countries. Here's a fun fact: she also interned with me in 2021, and now she leads that team. So we're excited to unpack what Simran has to share with us today. She's our guest, and why don't we welcome her?
Welcome, Simran, to Desperate Times. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on to this episode. We're already happy to have you here. And in the intro of this episode, Sakshi mentioned about this whole career pivot that you did, where you moved from psychology and now you're leading a team in marketing, and you have all these years of experience, and you have faced that pivot in your life yourself. In our previous episodes, we've spoken about the pivot that we've had, but would love to learn more about what it was like for you to have that pivot in your life.
First of all, thank you so much. Very, very grateful that you guys invited me. And this is my first time doing something like this. So I'm just like, ready to talk about stuff. Yes, I did. I actually finished my school in India. I'm from Gujarat.
Hmm.
I finished my school in India and then I moved to Canada for my bachelor's. I was in Newfoundland. Not a lot of people know where Newfoundland is, but it's eastern part of Canada. Where
Okay.
sunrise in the country. But yeah, I moved to Newfoundland for my bachelor's. I did my bachelor's in biology and psychology, and my was to do pursue either research or research medicine research later. And
Okay.
but you know how life works in a lot of funny ways, very funny, very unexpected ways. After I graduated, I came to India in like it was a year or so after I graduated. I came to India in 2021 because I couldn't visit my family. So I had to, like, I waited for the COVID things to go down and stuff. So I visited that time. And then my visas were almost about to expire. So then I was like, okay, I'll go to India
Mm,
apply for my postgraduate work permits, because obviously we get that when you're there.
fair.
And then I was here. And then like, okay, first 2 3 months, I was like, okay, fine. Okay, whatever. Like I was relaxing, I was spending time with my family and everything. And then after that, I was like, I'm a recent graduate. I don't have solid work experience because even after I graduated, since things were so bad during COVID, I was still doing just like those, part-time jobs
Hmm.
that you do during university. I didn't land something solid yet because things were closed, all of that. So then I knew that since COVID was still a big thing, obviously in 2021 also, so there was not like
Hmm.
a lot of openings in science when it comes to remote, especially for someone who is like a fresher, because it's an in-person field, right? So
Hmm.
I have a friend who was working in marketing for a while that time,
Mhm.
and she was like, oh, I know this is not something you've ever thought you could do, but just since till you are here, till you get your visas. By the way, that time I thought my visas will come in like a month or a two max. I got honestly, I applied my student visas 2015. I moved to Canada in 2015. I got my visas in 2 weeks after I applied, right? But then I was like, okay, since there's COVID and stuff, max 2 months took a month,
Yeah.
by the way, for them to come because of so much backlog.
Believable.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So then my friend was like, oh, till you're here, why don't you just intern just so that you have some experience to show on your resume when you move back? And I was like, okay. So she
Hmm.
was helping me apply for jobs because, as I said, like I was like, no clue. I've always been a science person, even when I was in school. I've never thought anything outside like a science as a career. So then I applied to multiple places and then I landed an internship with an agency called Social Pill, which is based in Bombay. But they were
Hmm.
luckily hiring for work from home. And that's where I found my internship. And that's where I met Sakshi, actually. She was my mentor.
Yes.
I was actually directly interning under her. And I've always told her a lot of times, also asked that I'm so grateful. She has taught me so much because
Oh,
I don't
stop.
think I can explain how much he has taught me because as a
Oh,
science graduate, for someone who has no clue, yeah. So her and there was a couple of other mentors. I'm just grateful that I had them, because I've learned a lot from them. But I was directly under working under Sakshi. That's how we met. And then
Hmm.
it has been a very, very unexpected journey because after I think 5 months of internship, I was like, okay, now what will I do? But I was actually liked it. What I realized was that
mhm.
I was maybe somewhere I had a creative side. I didn't know I
But
had
Hmm.
it. One, I didn't know I had it. I guess such, which is I think very important point here for people who are hiring. Like you should give people a chance because they have they might have a side that they might not know themselves. And I'm so glad the
yeah,
agency did give me a chance because I figured out I have a creative side. So after
for sure.
interning, the agency itself offered me a full-time position as a social media executive, and then I was promoted to a social media manager, and then I was promoted to a social media team lead in 2023. So
Damn.
it has been a journey. Then in 2020, at all of this time, I had my postgraduate work permit, but then I was just like,
Oh, you did?
yes, I did.
Mhm. Yeah.
My postgraduate work permit came in 2022. But the thing is, right,
Right.
things were really bad there that time because in terms of job, like, things were like not yet good. Like I had tried applying for jobs from here. Obviously, I did. But like
Mhm.
nothing was working out. And then people are like, oh, okay, you should go and risk it that time. But thing was like still more than half the country was still closed. So realistically, I was like, how many chances do I have as a fresher with only an intern experience to land a
Mhm.
proper job where the hiring is cut short by like more than 50%, right? Because no one was actively hiring a lot that time. So
Yeah.
then I guess I got very excited here because I was growing here. And for me, it has always
Mhm.
been about, oh my God, okay, I'm growing here. So then I was like, okay, in 2024, because as a postgrad, because I did a full bachelor's, I get like a 3-year work permit. So I had
Mhm.
like a work permit valid still in 2024. And I was like, oh, you know what? Let me go back to Canada. And you know I was like, this is a good time. Things are way normal now. I have gained
Yeah.
enough experience here, and I was like, I
Mhm.
never wanted a regret that I didn't make use of my work permit. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
let me go. I did land. I was working freelance a lot. I was doing a lot of freelance in between while I land a full-time opportunity. I did land an opportunity, but it was not in marketing. It was just something at my local Hilton. Like, I was in administration, and they were like, okay, when we have a marketing space open, we'll definitely look into
Mhm.
promoting you and stuff, because I have worked with a couple of Hilton, and I still do work with a couple of Hilton in India, couple of Hilton branches in India. So that was going, and I was like, okay, you know what, going. And then obviously I was not personally very happy because it was not something I liked, that I was doing. So when I was like, it's okay, it's life, you got to do it. But then
Mhm.
a couple of things happened at home, and I was like, I couldn't stay longer there. Like I had to move back for my family. And
Mhm.
so then and luckily what happened was around the same time, my agency who had found my replacement, it was not working out or something. And like, they were parting ways, and they're like, oh, okay, you are coming back. Do you want to join back? And I was like, okay, why not? Because obviously it is a place at the end of the day that has given me so much exposure. So I was like, okay, it works out. So I joined back. Now I'm the head, actually, the head of the department. They gave me a promotion. I'm back. So yeah, it's not even just science to marketing. It's just like the amount of times I have like switched between the two countries. It's actually crazy. It's just
Mhm.
that I felt like 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, I didn't want to hold any regret that I ended up
Mhm.
staying here or I ended up staying there. Like, whatever, like, I've always been someone who has been open to wherever life takes me kind of a person,
Yeah.
because I really beat myself up when I couldn't find a job initially when I got my work permit. And I was like, beating myself
Mhm.
a lot for it. And then I was like, okay, it's not in your control. What are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
And then that's I think that's what taught me to be like a bit more open. And like I'm glad, like, I did take a chance. As much like I did take a chance, I could make up some money, like, I could cover my cost of moving back and everything. But it didn't work out. That's okay. I'm glad I'm here again. I am like at least growing and I'm evolving in my role, and who knows what the future holds. But currently I'm in India, and yeah, so that has been a journey.
Simran, you mentioned that the move from psychology, you've always been into science.
Yeah.
Coming into something like marketing, did you ever feel like, oh, I don't know how it's, gonna be? Am I gonna fit in? Like that imposter syndrome almost. Because I remember you were great. Like you definitely had a creative flair, and that's the reason, Social Pill decided to keep you on, put you on as an executive, and then, climb up
Hmm.
higher and higher. So there was definitely that, but I know we as people tend to doubt ourselves. So, like, do you still have that, or was that just initially because you stepped into marketing?
I think you're gonna find this so funny, and it might sound made up, but I was literally telling this to one of the co-founders yesterday. I was just telling him that, I've been recently feeling, I've been having this thing like the imposter syndrome. So I still
Mm.
have that. I still feel like I'm here by some luck, by
Hmm.
something. And then, like, he told me that yesterday. He was like, but if we didn't see that in you, you wouldn't be at the position you are. But,
Hmm.
it's something that I still feel all the time because I'm like always trying to, you know, do watch YouTube videos, learn more, try to like, I talk to the different departments in agency a lot, like, the digital, the SEO, it's, it's like I don't know if you guys feel that because I know Sakshi works in marketing. So then I don't know if you guys feel that, but like,
Oh, the same.
yeah, right. Okay, great. So you guys do. Every day you wake up, there's a new vertical. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
of
even
course.
as an agency, we keep adding more verticals because so many things are now happening that you did actually
Yeah.
need different departments for it. So
Uh-huh.
I
Hmm.
feel like I don't know anything about marketing, but at the same time I
Yeah.
do know some stuff about it. So I work
Yeah.
just to give context, I work mainly on the social media strategy branding side. I don't work on the ads and all of that. I obviously have basic knowledge in it because I've been working with
Hmm.
the agency for so long, but I execution wise I don't we are not that side. Me and my team are this side. So then even that time I'm just like all the time. It's so funny because just an instance, I recently went to like with my sister. I took a trip and
I did see that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very good trip actually. It was such a nice trip. And it's so
Okay.
funny because we were in Europe, and wherever I was going, even looking like I'm looking at a menu and I'm like, okay, this font actually is nice. This makes me want to order the food. I'm like, you are like
Yeah.
analyzing everything.
Yeah.
Okay, what are they doing to attract so many people? What are they?
Yep.
It's actually crazy. Now when I get ads on my social media, I actually okay that why did I
All the
find
time.
I think the best strategy I've found to understand what works for people is what makes me stop on social media and look at
Yeah.
something. Considering we all have a
Right.
attention span, there's barely anything.
Yeah.
All of this I'm doing. And then at the same time, so my main purpose was that I know I'm actively, in so much, and I'm happy about it. It's like my brain
Mhm.
automatically works that way now. But at the same time, I still feel like, have I done enough or do I have enough knowledge to be where I am? And no, it's definitely something that is very active. And it's like I was talking to my friend about it today, and she was like, if you ever feel that way very heavily, or you feel like it's putting you down or something, you can
Mhm.
always just remind yourself that if that was the case, it wouldn't have sustained for this long.
For sure.
So
True.
yeah. So yeah, do you guys feel
No,
that? I don't know if you guys do, but like,
I mean, you and I have always felt like, we had a very similar thinking. That's why we got
yeah,
along so well and worked well together. And honestly, Social Pill, you, a couple of other people,
yeah,
I think those were my best colleagues so far. And that's why we still stayed in touch 3 years after me leaving, still, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
So that imposter syndrome, definitely, like, I completely feel what you're saying, that every day there's something new. Like, I try to attend seminars, webinars, workshops, trying to
Exactly.
understand what's coming up, subscribe to newsletters, because
Yeah,
it's evolving all the time. And then
yeah.
even the ads bit, and I'm like, oh my god, like when I'm watching Netflix and you get ads and ads, and I'm like, why are they targeting me for this? Like,
This
it just
exactly.
plays constantly on my brain. So I completely get
Yeah.
where you're coming from. And Varun also is from the
Yeah.
marketing background,
Okay,
so
great.
I'm
Yeah.
sure like he has things to share as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. It has been to quite an extent the same for me. And much like Sakshi, went from hospitality, moved to
Yeah.
marketing,
Yeah.
did that complete Eastern. And then there were opportunity like parts in my career also where I was like getting promoted and then I had a team of like 3 to 4 people under me. And I was like, wait, I don't know if I have the experience to train these 3 to 4
Yeah.
people. Like I don't know if this is making sense. But every day, obviously, I went into it very confidently, being like, okay, cool, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
just making
Mhm.
sure that everyone around me feels like I know what I'm doing. But there was always that that thought at the back of my mind being like, wait, I'm not really sure. Like, and then again, when there were conversations of promotion that were coming up again, I was like, oh, wait, I'm already up for promotion. Like, am I ready for this? I don't really know. So those thoughts always do kind of creep up at the back of your mind. But as you said, you just gotta remind yourself that if you've been there for that long or you've had a certain amount of experience, then that's going to come with it. So
Yeah, no, I
I
agree
kind of agree with you 100%.
completely. That exactly. I just feel like I don't know, like, am I getting it? It's all about that only. I think, like, because it's such an evolving industry, like, you just feel like you have to keep up, And
For sure.
considering AI has integrated so much in marketing now, it's insane. Like, it's just
Yep.
get you the scope of doing things get so much bigger, but as the
I
scope
know.
gets bigger, so does like your confusion or something, your doubts and stuff also,
Yeah.
that are you able to
Hmm.
match the speed that it's
Mhm.
evolving at? So yeah.
No, that's for sure.
I think one thing that I want to also get into a little, and I feel like you might have already touched on this, but you mentioned that you did the country switch a couple of times also, right? You went from India, you graduated in Canada, went back to India, then went to Canada, then went back.
Yeah.
So was there something that the second time when you went back from Canada to India, is there something that caused that be like, hey, I don't think I want to be in Canada anymore, and I think it's a good idea to go back?
A lot of things actually, but maybe could be a lot from my personal end also. So one thing, definitely things are, how do I say, I don't want to put in a very like hard way, but if I compare to 2015 to 2025, right, 10 years ago is the first time I moved to
Hmm.
Canada. It's turned for the worse for the people of color. I don't know if you guys have experienced it, and I know I saw your last recent episode.
Interestingly enough, you're right on brand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I have experienced it also, and it's so funny because when I moved back 10 years ago, I feel like, I always say this to my friend: if you're moving ahead in time, we should be moving ahead in our mentality also, right? But how is it, it's so funny because I feel like as a country we moved back. Like, I still refer to Canada as we only when I talk, because, like,
Hmm.
automatically it happens because I've lived there for so long. But as a country, like,
Uh-huh.
people, I feel like, moved back a little. I'm not saying that, I'm not denying there are no, like, obviously the opportunities are there, growth is there, no doubt given. Obviously it is still somewhere my second home, because I've lived there for so long. But like, I felt more belonged initially when I moved than I did when I came back this time. I don't know if that
Mhm.
makes sense. And I don't know if everyone
It
relates
does.
to it, but I definitely felt that way a little. I was just grateful that, I have, touch wood, like, I made some beautiful, amazing, lifelong friends when I was in university, because obviously the university, 5 years, because I did a dual major. So mine was like almost 5 years, because more than four. So then
Mhm.
I have made friends who are really, some of them are still in Newfoundland. So when I moved back, I moved back there initially. And it's a funny story because all my stuff was in storage for good 3 years, by the way.
Oh wow.
So
God damn, that must have been expensive.
somehow, no, luckily it was at my friend's, who owns a place
Okay,
out there.
okay,
It's
okay.
not a problem. But somehow nothing was damaged, which is so weird. But
Wow.
yeah, no, exactly. No, but then because I never, when I came to India in 2021, the plan was 4 months and I ended up
Yeah.
staying for 3 years. So obviously,
I
that's,
remember
Mm.
that.
yeah.
I
So,
remember
but
because during the internship. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was just saying. So, like, when I went back, so obviously because I had friends who I have been with since, like, early university days, it felt home there.
Mhm.
But somehow in the city, I felt less welcome than I did in 2015, which
That
is,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Okay.
So
No, we definitely feel that, and we've you said you saw
yeah,
the episode, and yeah, it's just been not that great, and we don't have that comparison that you do from 2015 to now. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
nice to
Hmm.
hear that perspective from you,
yeah,
because people do say that, oh my God, this, oh my God, that, and yeah, it does show in a lot of things. And like you've gone back, a lot of people have gone back for the
yeah,
better, even,
yeah.
and that's the other side, right?
That's what I was saying. Like, the other part of my reason to move back was very much related to family. That was my main purpose. And even when I moved back this time, and, like, they were not well here. There was, like, my grandmother was almost very unwell, and I got so scared again. I don't know. It's a lot on what happened that time, and I couldn't reach her, and I couldn't come visit my family.
Hmm.
I know, and I'm sure, I know this is life, things happen and everything. But it's like I had to take a strategic decision about this, because I have a younger sister and she's now moving abroad. She's moving to London for her further studies. And
Oh,
so I wanted at least one of us to be like, in the close by proximity. So that was also one of my reasons to move. But obviously, as I say, I think when people ask me, right, that sometimes when my friends ask me, or someone who has recently gone there and they know me via someone, and they ask me like, would you continue living and I'm just like, I think it's all about what works for you. And I
yeah.
was like, it's completely normal for someone Canada to work for someone. It's obviously, or any
Mm-hmm.
other country outside your home country to work for someone. Obviously, it's on your decision. And I always say this, it's so funny that grass is green no side. Like you just got I don't know why, not being pessimistic, but I'm just saying, like, it's like I always say this, that grass is green no side. It's like the how much brown you want to adjust with, that the grass is not green brown, like in the sense, not in a bad way, but just saying that any place, no, no, I personally don't think any country, any place will have 100% pros or 100% cons. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
given here, like, obviously it still is hard for me to adjust here also in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily I have a
Yeah.
family who is not like typically like you would find, like, the situations here in terms of society and everything. I'm sure you guys know, literally, like,
Mm-hmm.
I always say this, like in 2015, I ran from the country because I was so done with I ran. I'm not kidding, I ran. I ran because I was so done with the kind of society there is here, the mentality and everything. But I
Yeah.
think maybe I don't feel it a lot now, right now, because my family is not like that. And
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
my friends, or like even the coworkers, like right now when I'm at work, they are not like that. Now things I've seen
Mm-hmm.
things evolve, but obviously there's a lot of work here, a lot more work we have to do here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, I think, one of the reasons. But I think if I would have found a good job, I would have still stayed my plan was never to settle per se, because I knew eventually I wanted to be closer to family. So I initially came with
Mm-hmm.
a plan of at least a few years. But I think the
Yeah.
job
Mm-hmm.
not working out in the way I wanted, like not in the field I wanted, and the situations at home is what got me to move back eventually and permanently. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So how do
Now
you,
that you're
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay. So now that you're back in India, how do you approach building a life and career with so much movement? Because you've not just have one back, but you've had two back
Yeah.
and forth, and it does disrupt like your life, your career, everything around you. So how are you building that back up?
Yeah, so like that's why I was so grateful that when I was finalizing moving back was around the same time I ended up talking to Aditya, and like, he was telling me that, oh, your position is still open, like, but at a higher level, like, if you're still interested. And I was like, yeah, I am. So that's honestly my luck that it worked out, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise doing that switch again and
Uh,
finding a place here, after like finding a position here after having a gap on my resume, I was honestly so worried. Like, obviously, since like I am back in the agency I was working for, so I'm like, I am growing there, but like, I still feel lost, still, honestly saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first, like, I wanted to do science, and then that didn't work out. But then, like, it
yeah.
didn't work out per se, but
Mm-hmm.
like, this worked out, so that's okay. But then I
Uh-huh.
moved to Canada with a different agenda, that I was hoping I'll land
Yeah.
a job, things were better. So I was like, okay, I'll try and stuff. So that didn't work out.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, like, it was a huge hit though. I had so many sessions of stress and anxiety when I was there, because things were like very difficult and they were not working out. And it's no hidden truth that things are way more expensive, so much more
Yeah.
expensive now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was getting hard to sustain everything also there. So then
Uh-huh.
I still sometimes feel lost, honestly. But what I've realized is that what I can do in my power is, right now, is to keep trying to educate myself more, not in terms of degrees and stuff, yeah, okay, certificates and
Mhm.
everything, but also in terms of like, what am I evolving into a person as, like, okay, if there's certain things like that I like to do, certain things that I'm finding, then
Mhm.
maybe build my passion from there. So then, example, like as a lead, as a head of department, I've realized that managing people is something that comes naturally to me. I've learned that. So like, I've been liking
Mm-hmm.
that. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking into, doing a project management certificate, for example. So, I think recognizing, because as you grow, you do tend to evolve your interest, like, even in the same
Right.
field. you do tend to
Yeah.
figure out what is the niche that you like. So as much
Uh-huh.
as I like the creativity part of marketing, I've realized that more than that, I do love managing people. I do love leading teams. I want to set like a good example, so
Yeah.
like that's why I'm looking into like doing a project management certificate, for example, because I want to grow into that, maybe more into management roles in the future, wherever it
Uh-huh.
takes me. I have realized that I do want to like. I think the trip recently made me realize how much I want a balance of travel also in my life. And I know people say that obviously everyone loves to travel, no doubt. No one not loves to travel.
Yeah.
It's like I see so many people around me who actually do things to make it work, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
sometimes I'm like, I just tell myself, okay, ye to it's like, this might not work. Like who does that? Who does it work out for? But you never know.
Yeah.
Like you should. Even coming to this podcast, I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know if I done it. What will I say? What will I do? But then
Uh,
my thought was like, but maybe I've never done it, so why not,
Hmm.
yeah.
experimenting with new things, being honest with what I like and what I don't like, be honest with what I see myself in future as, is what I think is helping me evolve. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how like I'm trying to like adjust with my current yeah. But
No,
if
it
you ask
does
me,
more
do you
than
have a long
answer.
term plan? I don't know
No.
what's happening. So
Listen, this is not an interview where we're asking your
Yeah,
5-year
exactly.
plan
no,
and your
no, no,
career
yeah.
plan.
I but I'm
So
just
what you
that is
and
also
there's
another
no
piece
right or
that
wrong
I have
answer.
syndrome where I'm like, am I not taking my life seriously? Why don't I have a
I
5-year
know.
plan?
What?
Nobody has to have
No.
a 5-year plan, honestly. Like when I get that
Exactly.
question in,
Yeah.
it's insane. When I get that question in interviews and everyone is like, "Oh, what's your 5-year plan?" There have been times where I've literally gone into the interview being like, to be very honest, I don't have a straightforward answer for you. I don't know what you're expecting from me. All I know is that I'm looking for the next place that I work
No.
at to work there long term. That's all.
Yeah.
Like that is my next couple of years plan. That's
Exactly.
it.
I think next time we should start counter asking also, like, can you share what's your 5-year plan? Because no one
Yeah.
knows. And that's why I'm just like, whenever, like, that's why I try to stay more and as much as I can in the present, and to understand, like, what can I do to basically, what I'm focused right now is to grow and to adjust to the current
Mhm.
evolving market here or anywhere, is to just increase my skills,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
that is and I have realized that a lot of like after COVID, I'm sure you guys have seen, is like international hiring has also become a big thing. A lot of
Yeah.
companies are
Hmm.
branching out remotely to hire people.
Mhm.
And that is also something like, it's a really interesting, like, the market I would also like to
Yeah.
experience once. Or and so what I've realized is that just evolving your skills is important. And it's not necessary to burden yourself with, as you said, sometimes you do feel that burden. Okay, am I keeping up? But then I'm also like, I
Mhm.
can't, not with everything. And that's okay, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Hmm.
Still, I'm
Yeah.
doing the
No, that
best I
does
can.
make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you more than honestly, you're doing more than because when I see a post on LinkedIn and I'm like, oh my God, she's come so far, and
Yeah.
honestly, I feel happy that we crossed paths and we still connected and everything. Just because the shift what you've had from being like an intern at Social Build to now being a team lead of that department, like it's
Yeah.
huge, and
Hmm.
it's not just because it's luck, but it's because of your skills. Like Rajneesh mentioned that if you weren't good, you wouldn't be there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and you answered more than the question because I feel like my next thing was gonna be like mindset shift, leadership, and all of that. So you've given us more than what that was. Perfect. Even this podcast, what you talk about, like for us too, is just something to have fun with, and then
Yeah.
hopefully add some value to someone's life. Like
Yeah.
even your background, moving from
Hmm.
psychology to marketing. Like someone would think that the thought is like, oh, am I wasting my degree? Because
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
a very common thing. Like we did hospitality, and I question that, like, but then there are some connections, and you're like, you know what, it was fine. So
Yeah.
does that come to your head that you wasted your degree? Like it
Does. It does. And
what do you do
especially a
then?
very expensive degree, because I literally left the country to do it at another. I feel that a lot. I was like, I spent a lot of money to get this degree. Like, have I wasted it? But then when I think about it, that how do I actually sometimes use science in my degrees? I don't use bio part of it. Like biology is obviously very,
Mhm.
but you know what? Doing a second major in psych has helped me is that it teaches you people reading skills a lot. Like obviously
Right.
not as much as a master's or a PhD psychology person would,
Of
but
course.
basics it does. You do tend to see
Mhm.
patterns, and you know it helps everywhere from consulting
Yeah.
clients to being a leader. I am such a observant. I observe, it's just a thing, like I observe a lot. I observe patterns, I observe the kind of responses a person gives, like the tone. And I think that is what I think so helpful from my degree, is that how I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to read so much into like
Mm-hmm.
unstated things, things that there are just movements. I think I did a post on LinkedIn about it a while back. I don't remember when, but then I was just like, what I've realized is that, especially in marketing, when I deal with different clients, is that you actually have to deal so much with them psychologically, because some brands
Yeah.
are very like, they want like a very set, like a typical
Mhm.
approach to things, which is more strategic, which is very like calculated and thought out. And some
Yeah.
brands you to wants you to also consider their brand as a baby, because there are new founders, there are new
Yeah.
people who are so excited and they want more emotional approach from you. Others want very
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
straightforward, very professional, very stoic and straightforward thing. And I think I have I didn't realize how much of my what I've studied in psych is what I'm using here. Obviously, you're not like literally taught people behavior, but you are
Uh,
taught in a lot of sense when you do different courses, and it just somehow comes. It just becomes a part of you inherently, because you do start noticing things that you didn't realize you were, and that
yeah.
is where I do put my degree to a little bit of use, a little bit. But I do sometimes feel like, okay, what if like? But then I'm just like, what if I was unhappy? you know
Mm.
if
Mm-hmm.
I continued in science, and then
Yeah.
as much, now that I'm realizing it, that as much as I love studying science, and I think I still love studying science. I'm always up to date with science news also, by the way. As much as
Good.
I love it,
Okay.
I've realized that I may have not liked a career in it, and I don't think I would have
Mhm.
realized that if I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a career in marketing. So it's weighing that then when I weigh that okay, I feel like I wasted my degree, and then I weigh that, okay, but I'm so happy with my career right now, then it
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes okay. They're like, okay, at least I'm growing somewhere and I'm doing what makes me happy. I mean, it is very stressful also, but it makes me happy.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And even as two of us who have had our share of career pivot as well, it's very similar in those cases also, right? Because we've also had the opportunity to be a part of hospitality and then just not been a part of it. But
Yeah.
then eventually you kind of turn around to realize being that, hey, had I as much as I like that, like we enjoyed our degrees, it's not that we didn't, we enjoyed our courses, but you soon enough turn around and realize being like, hey, I don't know if I could really look at that as a long-term career. Just liking something doesn't always have to mean that you can have a career in it.
No, I agree. I think that's how I feel. Same, literally.
So, what would you say to anyone who is like stuck between a degree they did and they feel like they want to do something else and they feel bound to that degree? Like they have to do that because they studied that.
I read this somewhere. It's on mine, but I read this somewhere. You spend 80% of your week, and that's almost equivalent to 80% of your life's a week working. Almost 80%,
Mhm.
almost like, okay, yeah, we do 8 hours a day, but then the rest of the day is your me time and stuff. But you spend those 5 days of the week, your majority focus is your work. And I read that, and then they were like, just make sure it's what you want, because
Right.
one, you're going to be doing it 80% of the week, and then till
Hmm.
you're 60, now that we grow older, retirement age is going way above 70, 60, 70. You never know how long you're going to be
Mhm.
working for. And I
Hmm.
think I read that, and I have it saved also on my phone, so I don't remember the exact lines, but it's somewhere there. So it's like, just make sure it's something you are happy doing, because otherwise you're going to be
Mhm.
very miserable. And that's what I would tell anyone. And I'm always telling this to everyone, that don't hesitate switching when you want to, because as someone I did, I'm sure as you guys, as you just said, as you did, you are you at least are content and happy with what you have right now. And
Hmm.
that's what my fear is, like, sometimes I don't know if this happens with you guys, but sometimes that happens with me, is like, I am sitting and I'm just like, oh, what if I had continued in science? I would have been like,
Yeah.
maybe I should be more great. I am grateful, but I feel like I should be even more grateful. Is like I am so glad. Sometimes I'm grateful that I did take that step, and I don't think we give
Mm,
ourselves, all of us, give ourselves enough credit for taking that risk of moving
mm,
countries,
Hmm.
risk of switching careers. So any kind of switch, I think it's important because you got to do this for life. And imagine, you're not happy doing this for life. And I
yeah,
know for a fact that for now, I love what I'm doing. And if I have to do this, at least for now, for life, I am happy with it. I love being creative.
oh,
I love managing people. I love meeting
that's so
new
nice to
people. I yap so much. I talk so much. It's like, and then I think about this and I'm like, marketing fits my personality because if I would have gone into research, it wouldn't have fit
yeah,
someone like me who talks. And I'm like, I love meeting new people and everything. So I'm like, it wouldn't have enabled me. Like every day at work,
mm,
I somehow have conversation with a new person. Either it's a new client or a
yeah,
new someone, and that's honestly, it's a lot. It's not everyone you come across, maybe like you have
yeah,
similar thoughts or similar, but at least you meet them, and at least you realize that
mm,
it's a huge place. The world is a
yeah,
huge place. And yeah, so exactly that, like I just want to say that don't be miserable doing what you're doing, so choose what you want to do. And people think it's all these cliched lines that it's so hard. Trust me, it is hard, but then it works out. I think it works out.
yeah, for sure.
Sweet. I think that's great piece of advice to give anyone out there because a lot of people don't look at it from that perspective at all. So it's great that we're putting out this perspective, right? So that people can go back, watch this episode, introspect a little more about it, and then realize that hey, it's going to be worth it in the end. Just
Yeah,
hang in there and trust your gut and your decision.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
I think before we kind of send you off after all of this information that you've given us, which is great, we have to pose this one question to you. What is one situation that you found yourself to be in desperate times, and how did you get over it?
Wow. That is very, I'm thinking because there's so many situations I
So
find
many.
myself in desperate times.
Take it.
I think, okay, definitely during my degree, there was a lot that happened, not a lot that happened per se, but like as a young person, when I moved to Canada, obviously I was only 18. So like when I moved, like, adjusting to the new country and stuff, it was very lonely at start. So that is, I think,
Mm,
always I refer to as my first ever like desperate situation where I did have friends and,
Hmm.
life was hard. I failed a couple of courses also, by the way, in my first semester because I was
oh
adjusting to
no.
the metric, I was adjusting to the system of teaching
Yeah.
papers and everything. And I'm very open about it. I'm like, yeah, I did. And then obviously I cleared it up and not obviously that sort of thing. But like that is one. And how I got out of was that I forced myself to make conversations with people, even if I wasn't
Mm,
sure if they'll like me or they'll find me like, obviously this is, now that I think about it, it feels a little like, okay, maybe it was like I was a little, obviously I was a child per se, like I was only 18, but I still revert back to that situation a lot because I was alone away from my family, very young.
yeah.
And that is one. Getting through my degree was a difficult at a lot of times because a lot had happened. I was not in a very best place mentally also in between. And to get myself out of that, I think that is one. And then I'm just listing down stuff before I tell you. And then I'm just like, my visa is not coming up after my work permit when I had to end up, when I was interning here. And then the last,
Hmm.
me not finding a job in Canada. What
Mm,
has, between all of this and a lot of other things, I think what has been most common is I have learned to ask myself, so what? And I've realized that when you ask yourself, this didn't happen. Okay, so what? And you know what? I don't know why somehow it may sound very like, I don't know if it sound makes sense, but somehow it lifts the weight. And then you're
yeah,
just, okay, so what? It didn't work out. Okay, just go do this then. I think
yeah,
this, I don't know if that makes sense, but the so what enables,
yeah,
I think it's more about the weight that the situation
mm,
puts on you.
yeah,
Hmm.
And there's always a solution, or there's always a pull, like, pulling yourself out of a situation. It is there, that thing is there.
mm,
It's just that we are so weighed down by that. Oh, why did this happen with me?
yeah,
Why did
Hmm.
this happen? Why would that? I think that is what we all ask ourselves always, that why did this happen with me? And then
yeah,
in all of that, I just ask myself, so what? And that, even though it takes me a lot of time to like obviously be okay with whatever the reality of the situation is, asking myself so what has been helpful only because, like, obviously I'm not saying it works for everyone, but it works for me, is because I tend
Mhm.
to deepen, like I go too deep into things and I overthink and everything, and I'm just like, it's okay if not this, something else, because I've realized time keeps moving, life around you keeps moving. So either we have the choice to be in that situation, or you just ask yourself so what and you get out. But as soon as you ask so what, I don't know, somehow the hold the problem has on you just lessens for some reason. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how
It
I've pulled
does.
myself up a lot of things.
No, that makes complete sense, and
Yeah.
that's a great way to look at it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Not saying it works for everyone again, but just works for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone who's willing to try this method, they can try it and
Anyone.
then see
Yeah.
if it works for them.
Yeah. Just like so.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't think we as people realize how much permission we are actually giving to the situation to affect us.
Yeah.
But when you ask yourself, so what, right? You realize that, okay, but then if I take away that power of me,
Mhm.
just focusing on the problem, I
Yeah.
take
Hmm.
away its power, when I ask so what, and then I can just easily focus on what's next. And I'm so glad I did, because then otherwise I would have still been like in stress about, being in Canada. And I was, I think, more in stress because I was very close to my PR application and I didn't have the job that qualifies for PR and everything. So,
Hmm.
all of that. And I would have, maybe done something or been unhappy. But I'm glad I asked myself, so what? And I was just like, and because my main was that, okay, I'll move back. How does that look? How does that look on me and stuff? And then I was just like, so what?
Hmm.
Looks how it
Yeah.
looks. You did your best. You gave your best. Then it's okay. And then I'm glad I did, because I came back with a better position. The kind of clients I work with now, I'm very grateful for it, that I did ask, so what? Yeah.
No, that's completely like that makes so much sense just because this podcast too, like Varun and I, when
Yeah.
we started there was a lot of like uncertainty in our lives, whether it's work or
Hmm.
just like generally life, and we were like, so what? Like that just doesn't shouldn't stop us from doing things we want to do, right?
Yeah,
So
Hmm.
exactly.
that's how this podcast was also sort of born of asking that question and not letting the situation control you, but you taking the narrative and making the best out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Literally, have you put it? That's what I was trying to say. Taking the control of the narrative. Yeah. So yeah, that is it.
Well, Simran, thank you so much for your time today. You've shared some great nuggets of wisdom,
Mhm.
and I'm sure a lot of people will take like a lot of it away from it. We'll have to rewatch it maybe and then,
Hmm.
process it. Because I feel like what you just unpacked is a lot for someone to just sit and digest in one sitting.
I
And
get
even
it.
me, I'm
Hmm.
still thinking. I'm still thinking, like, I'm like, both of us have such similar thinking, and like,
Yeah.
that's what I feel like has always connected us better. So, thank you so much for coming on Desperate Times and being such a sport about it, even though you were nervous, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
We really
Hmm.
appreciate it. And hopefully, down the line, you can come back on the show, share some other stories with us, and inspire more people.
Thank you. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for having me. Also, thank you for so much for actually having me, because it just opened something in me that, okay, I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable doing something like this now. So I would love to definitely have more insights come back maybe. And I'm just so grateful that, always grateful I met you. Always grateful I learned so
Oh,
much from you. And
thank,
I'm just so happy to see you guys doing so well. And I
thank
always
you so
always
much.
wish this
Thank
same
you.
podcast to reach
Honestly,
a lot of people.
thank you so much. Honestly, you also have like a special place for me just because I think you were one of the first interns that I had that I was able to mentor without actually knowing what I was doing because I was just doing what I was told to do. I
Yeah.
wasn't really going by the perspective of mentoring a person, but then looking at you now is just like a full circle moment for me and having you on this podcast. So I'm super grateful to you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Yeah.
All
And for
right.
anyone
We'll
who's
see
watching or
you.
listening, still exactly that. We will see you next week. But if you resonated with this episode at all, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you're watching it on an audio or listening to it on an audio platform, leave us ratings and reviews. It really helps us grow. So yeah, that's
All
all,
right.
guys, for
Until
this
then,
week. We
see
will
you
see you
next
next
week.
week.
Bye.
Bye.